Hey everybody, Mrs. Peterson here, and I'm going to go over your next typography assignment, and it will be to do some special typography with the Gettysburg Address. So instead of working in Canva this time, we're actually going to work in a Google Doc, which is like a Word doc, okay? So the first you're going to do is watch the video and take notes. That's what you're doing right now. Then you're going to do a Google search for ideas for emphasizing words and quotes, and these will be visual ideas, so you could put image in there. So here's what I did when I looked. I have all these quotes that are written around here. Now our quote's a lot longer, but I wanted you to just kind of get an idea of you can actually do things here. See over here? Whoa. You can do things here to accent a word. Okay, now I'm not expecting you to accent every single word, right? But this one, for instance, this one, this is justified. Look, see how they're spaced out? This one, it looks like the numbers are a different font. Okay, let's look at this one. So this one, they actually kind of highlighted some things they wanted you to look at. This one right here has the first sentence in one font, the second in another font, and the third in another. But I'm going to tell you, don't use more than 3 fonts in your whole thing. So you might pick one font to emphasize a word, all right, or a phrase. For instance, look at this one. Okay, here is a sans serif font. And then these 3, I think they're a specialty, all right? They're almost a signature font, but no, that's not going to work. All right, so just kind of look around a little bit for how things, you can pop things out, all right? But do remember, right? Do remember that yours is going to be a lot longer. All right, so let's go back to Google Docs. So do a Google search for ideas emphasizing words and quotes, then open the Google Doc. So we're going to open the Google Doc, all right, and it's going to have the Gettysburg Address by President Abraham Lincoln, and then these are all the words, all right? Your goal is to get it on one page, all right? And I don't want to see you just work in this space. I would like to see that your whole page, it fills the quote, all right? So the first thing you might want to do is make the font larger. Okay, so see how I'm already starting to fill up the page? I might want to make the heading larger. Okay, and I might want to center it, right? Do not center this whole thing. You guys remember, if it's more than one sentence, you really don't center it. This should be the only thing I see centered, right? Then what you're going to go in is let's go back to the instructions. Use fonts and colors to emphasize different aspects of the quote that you want to stand out. So we should read through it. And maybe as I read through it, I might kind of highlight a few words just to say, oh, this is a good word. Maybe I want to do something with it. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now, I'm not going to go through the rest of this. You guys are going to have to read it. But there's definitely some interesting words here, okay? So I just highlighted the word liberty. Maybe I want liberty to really stand out, you guys. So I can go over. You don't have to use any of these because you can actually change it. I can go pick my second font, right? So far, everything is sans serif. So I guess the first thing you want to do is decide what your main font is. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this one. But you could go in there and make your main font something like Times New Roman, right? So it looks sort of maybe like it was written written down, or maybe you want to pick something a little bit more. Well, you actually just noticed you don't have a lot of choices here. Okay, here's something that looks a little bit more handwritten. Maybe that's what you want. All right, so you have to choose what font you want first, and then you're going to go in and you're going to pick that word. Okay, so I'm going to choose Liberty, and let me give you a hint. You can swipe it, or if you double click 1, 2, it will pick that word. And I want to highlight that word, and maybe one thing I could do is I could boldface it. Or maybe one thing I could do is I could change the color of it. Please don't use yellow, they don't show up. But maybe I want Liberty to stand out. Oh, sorry. Do not do what I just did. Do not highlight a color. We don't want any highlights on a color, but what we do want is we want to change the color of the font. So if I want the color of that font to be blue, that's what we can do. So I bold-faced it, right? I bold-faced it and I colored it. But maybe it's not enough. Maybe I want that font to be bigger than the rest. See that? And maybe, just maybe, that's not enough highlighted for me, so I pick one of my other 2 fonts for that. So maybe my other font is this. Liberty. Look how that stands out, you guys. And dedicated to the proposition that what? All men and women are created equal. You guys, that is a huge thing that we want to remember, that's so important about what we believe in this country. So all men are created equal. How are you going to make that stand out? Again, I don't want any highlight color, so please don't use highlight color. But you can change the color. You can change the font, right? 3 fonts max. Okay, 3 fonts max. Maybe I want it just to be super bold there. Make it a little bigger. All men are created equal. Look at that. So you're going to go through the rest of this and pick what words you want to stand out. Now, I will tell you something else. Right now, everything is single-spaced. But what if on something like this you really want it to stand out? So maybe you want to go in there and 1.5 space it. Or, sorry, didn't want to do that. Let's go back. Or maybe this up and down arrow, you want to double space that because you really want it to stand out. Now, if you remember, your vocabulary word is leading. I am changing the leading. Now, unfortunately, there is not an actual kerning in this, but let's say you need to kern one thing, all right? So if you're going to kern in Word, you actually just have to add spaces between it, okay? So kerning can make a word look really great, but you're saying, Mrs. Peterson, I can't see the L. I'm just going to add a few spaces so it goes down. Liberty, that's kerned, and now there's leading, all right? So you need to have at least one word kerned, and you need to change the leading at least 1 time. Okay, when you're finished, you will go back to your Google Docs and you will submit this, all right? I can't show you that because my Google Docs will actually not show the turn in, okay? Save as a file with your first name, last name, Ghettysburg, and then turn it in on Google Docs. And on yours, it'll be a turn in right here in this area, right somewhere right about here. And you need to make sure you put submit or upload or something like that. Make sure it's attached before you close out of your Google Doc because you might have done all the work, but you didn't submit it to me and I can't grade it, all right? Then if you're an online student, fill out an exit ticket. And I went ahead and attached that down here. And I left in the Art of Type notes in case you wanted to go back, and I left in the Art of Type PowerPoint. That is the assignment. Look forward to seeing what you guys have to do with the Ghettysburg Address. All right, you guys, take care. I love you. I miss you already. Go out and change your world for the better.